Hello, and welcome back to A Sharper Life. I'm your host, Nikki Sharp, a two-time best-selling author and transformation coach. This podcast is all about helping you overcome blocks and fears you may have in order to live your happiest, healthiest, and most vital life. Whether we're talking about why everything you've been taught about manifesting is total BS and the real ways to do it, impactful ways to elevate your romantic relationships, tips to overcome stress and anxiety, and how to achieve financial freedom. And yes, these are all past episodes. So if any of those sound good to you, scroll on back through the archives and have a listen. I know it's been a minute since we've been chatting and we've been here, and I can't wait to dive into today's episode. But first, I wanted to just let you know that at the end of February, doors open to my life-changing program, the Ultimate Transformation Program. This is a 4-month course that tackles all areas of your life, helping you go from stressed and depressed to confident, abundance, and have a complete 180 in your biggest challenges. I'll be sharing more over the coming months about the Ultimate Transformation Program, which starts March 18th. And due to popular demand, I decided to turn this program, which used to be once a year, into a 2-time-a-year program. And that's just really because the people who have joined and graduated are seeing such incredible results, telling their friends and family want to do it. And so I really just thought, why not give it a go, do it a second time around this year, because it's all about helping you have an incredible year and transform your life in all areas. So if you want to know more about the Ultimate Transformation Program, head to the show notes where you can learn all about that. But now on to today's episode. And my goodness, I have missed you. My last episode was released on October 28th, 2022. That is 3 months of no podcasting, no recording, no talking to you all. And honestly, I really missed you guys. And I really just love these weekly chats because I get to share things that I've learned, give you tips and tricks, and help you overcome challenges in your life by sharing things that I'm going through. But here's the deal. I really needed a break. And today's episode is going to be a little more casual. It's going to be a little more water cooler style where I'm just going to be chatting and sharing what's been going on in my life for the past few months and why I paused the podcast. I'm also going to be giving you tips that helped me during some pretty rough past few months. So whether 2023 has been off to a great start for you and you're looking for motivation to keep it up, or if you're feeling totally overwhelmed and you need some hope, keep listening as I got you covered. Now, here's the deal. In October, we had just moved, my husband and I had just moved into a new place, South Beach in Miami, and I talk all about manifesting, how we got this place. The month before that, in September, we were in London where I got shingles. My body was clearly so overwhelmed, my physical body, that it didn't even know what to do anymore. And here I am teaching health and wellness, and I think I'm doing all the right things. And it's a little reminder that the people you look up to, we are still human. We still have challenges that we have to overcome. And I realized that I was just pushing myself or burning both ends of the candle without knowing it until it was too far. And I really started feeling just overwhelmed, anxiety driven, and I have all the tools on how to, get over these. And as we got here into this new place, moving sucks. Like, it's fun because in one sense you're in a new place, but man, it's a lot of work of unpacking. And we were going through our storage unit. I was in the full throttle of the Ultimate Transformation Program 2022. And I dedicate my life to this because it's all about serving and helping people grow and transform. Man, oh man, was I tired though. And in the process of this, I just started looking at my podcasting equipment and I got furious. I got angry. Guys, I literally would look at my microphone and I would get angry at it. I'm like, yeah, that's not so good. Maybe we should take a break. And what happened from this is I also started feeling frazzled about what to talk to you all about. These podcast episodes, it's not like I just, go in my bedroom or wherever and I just, bust it all out. Although sometimes I'm really good at doing that, but I always have show notes. I, do fun interviews. So I'm always preparing, researching. And I just, I had an aversion, like a physical aversion to podcasting. I didn't want to listen to anyone's podcast. I just kind of needed to sit with myself. And it's a concept that I talk about. I've talked about it on one of my episodes. I think the one where I throw the avocado about I think it's, God, I'm forgetting the name of that one. I'll put it in the show notes, but where my husband went on his bachelor trip and I got so triggered, my own shit, obviously. And I was so frustrated and I threw an avocado against the wall. That's a really funny episode. You guys should listen. But what I realized during that time was this concept that I say, and I talked about it in the Ultimate Transformation Program, of sitting in the shit. And it sounds weird, right? You're like, okay, why would I want to do that? But here's the thing. If we don't sit in the uncomfortable moments in our life, it's what I call you're choosing to swim in the shit, which means that you're making it more dirty, more uncomfortable, instead of just allowing the emotions. And so for me, I had to sit in my own shit when it came to the podcast because I didn't want to do it. I had an aversion. I felt burnt out. I didn't have any joy when it came to teaching this, which is like mind-boggling for me because I love this podcast. I love Instagram. I love sharing things. I love helping you all. And I just wasn't in a place. And so I chose to sit in my own metaphorical shit. It's kind of like quicksand. A nicer way to put it is that if you're in quicksand and you're sort of like flailing about trying to get out, it actually makes you sink faster versus if you calm down and I don't know the whole science behind sand or quicksand. I've never been in it. But the whole thing is if you move about, it actually brings you down quicker. Whereas if you are still, you're much more likely to get out of it. And that's kind of the analogy of sitting in the shit. So for me, I really had to sit with myself and figure out why was I burnt out? What did I want to do? And what was the reason for all of these things? Because it's one thing to sit there and say, right, I can't lose weight. I'm getting bad sleep. I, feel a loss of passion in my relationship. Great. Admit those things. But then what I want you to do is go back and see, well, what was the catalyst for that? What was the trigger? So let's say you have a binge and something happens, you go binge, you eat all the things, and then you hate yourself, right? As we all know that whole feeling, that cycle. But what I encourage my clients to do, and I have to do because at the end of the day, I am my own greatest client. And if I can't do this myself, I sure as hell shouldn't be teaching it to you. And that's something that I see a lot of coaches and mentors and gurus and all these people on Instagram, like they don't take their own advice. And for me, I never share anything with you until I've done it, I've sat with it, I've practiced it, I've overcome it, and then I can teach you the tools. And so going back to the example of, let's say you've binged. It's not just about the binge. I want you to then go look at, well, what was the trigger? Why did I binge? What was the emotional trigger? And in my current group, I have a program called Sharper Health, where we go through all things about emotional reasons why we can't lose weight. We talk about nutrition, obviously exercise, but it's such a beautiful program. And during this, in one of the calls, I was saying, it's not the binge that I want you to focus on. It's the emotional trigger before it. And everyone in the group realized that it's when they're feeling stressed out or they have some sort of overwhelm or they don't feel appreciated by someone. That's the emotional trigger. And so once you go a step further backwards, right? So we're going the other way. Most people, when they're starting a goal, for example, they're like, all right, 2023, this is it. This is my year, new resolution, new me. And they forward plan. I actually think people should do this the opposite, where you back plan or you not plan, but you go backwards to see, well, why did my goals not work? What happened? Why did I fail at that one step? So that you can see what are the triggers and where does the sabotage happen? And so you're able to then track it back and say, oh, well, I actually got in a fight with my hubby, or, at work, I looked at my emails. I was totally overwhelmed. I realized I hadn't slept that night. Boom, I binge. And so the reason I share that example with you is because that's what I had to do in my own life. I had to sit in the shit. I had to figure out, why do I feel so overwhelmed? What is going on? I did a whole podcast about, overcoming this, tips to overcome stress and anxiety and overwhelm. And what I learned from it was I wasn't taking the time that I needed. I kept pushing myself, and I hold myself to a ridiculously high standard. I don't know about you guys. I'm sure you're just like me. Because if you're a go-getter and you're listening to this podcast, my guess is you probably push yourself too, and you have high expectations of yourself. And so this is what happened with me. And I'm pushing myself, wanting to do more, make it better, look at all my podcast analytics, see what episodes are doing best. Meanwhile, moving and trying to get settled. And it just started feeling more and more and more overwhelming, to the point where I actually started feeling zestless, right? I started feeling like, when I talk about life now and where I'm at, and you can probably see it and hear it, I feel very like zestful. Life is very zesty. That's a nice word, zesty. I don't even know if that's a word. I'm going to start using that though, zesty. So I had lost my zest. I'd lost my vitality. I didn't feel passionate. I didn't feel excited. And that's a scary place, right? That's a scary place when you're at there. And I was my own client, because the people that come into the ultimate transformation program, they always feel, down about themselves, loss of confidence. They feel like there's no hope. They're not excited about things. Nothing's working. They don't feel that joy, that passion, that zestiness of life. And hello, I was my own client at this point. And so I kind of took some back steps to look and see what was happening. And during this time, something else happened, which was the podcasting agency that I was with, who I love, Soulfire. They're amazing, and I can't thank them enough. There was an accounting thing that happened on their end, and I pay for these podcasts. So this is another little thing. Like, people don't realize the amount of time, energy, and money that goes into anything like this. Like, you want to start a YouTube channel? Well, you got to go buy a camera. You got to learn video editing, or you have to hire someone, right? You have to set things up, or whatever it is. So that's your time, your energy, and your money. And podcasting is no different. So for me, I had this amazing agency creating all the graphics, putting these episodes out, helping me, analyze things, what episodes were doing well. And they had an accounting issue. So I got slapped with a $16,000 bill. And I was like, I'm doing well, but I don't have 16K just sitting around, because I knew that I also had further investments coming up, such as we were planning our honeymoon. We were going to Tony Robbins. So that was another 8K. Yay, lots of money just flowing out. And it felt like every single dollar that was coming in my bank account, I didn't even see it, just like whoop, in and out. And the other thing to remember on that is that money is just energy. It really is. It comes and goes and it flows. And so if you have a bad relationship with money, I would really encourage you, well, one, do UTP, Ultimate Transformation Program, because people come in with debt and they say, I don't know why I'm doing this program, because I'm in debt. It doesn't make sense financially. And here's the cool thing. People always come out of debt by the end of the program, because they understand the limiting beliefs and self-sabotage. But my whole thing with this was, I believe money is energy. And I've been in debt 2 times. I will tell you those stories. No, I did tell you those stories actually in my scarcity to abundance one. What am I talking about? So I did tell you guys about that. So I really have a changed relationship with money, but I think for anyone to be slapped with a $16,000 bill kind of stresses you out. So here I am, already feeling burnt out, already feeling tired, already being like, okay, I'm trying to, organize and unpack and make things look nice. And I love our apartment, but we had to do a bit of work to it. And the other thing that was stressing me out is I don't have like a beautiful podcasting background and things like that. And that it gave me anxiety, because I seek to make things beautiful and good. And this for me right now is really just being like, all right, that's it. I got to let go of the perfection. Just get the podcast out. No one cares what your background looks like, Nikki. But in this, it all just felt like the universe just like slapped me across the face. And I made a really hard decision for myself, which was I needed to put a pause on this podcast indefinitely. That sucked. Just sitting there and feeling it, it sucked. It was not a fun decision. But I also knew that I needed to do this for me to come back to myself. And so I share all of this in the backstory because I get messaged literally every day from people looking for tips or they want advice on what to do because they're feeling overwhelmed, they're feeling stressed, they feel burnt out. And if this is you, if you feel stressed, burnt out, overwhelmed, anxiety, and you feel like you can never catch up with your to-do list, I'm going to tell you something and it's going to sound counterintuitive. You got to do the thing that scares you, which is slowing down and doing less. And here we are being like, no, but like, I got to do more, right? If I'm stressed out, I need to do more to get unstressed. I need to get more of my to-do list done. Nope. Doesn't work like that. I wish it did. But the thing is, when we do that and we keep going and pushing ourselves, our sleep goes down, the quality of sleep, we make less healthy choices. We don't prioritize working out or meditation or going for walks, getting fresh air. It's this, the mind is constantly in the, okay, get things done, don't be stressed. And the moment that you're in that place, your cortisol levels rise. And when cortisol rises, women then complain they can't lose weight. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that your cortisol is so high because you're so fucking stressed. And so it's counterintuitive that the very thing that you need to do to see results, right, to get unstressed, to find more zest or passion, to overcome SIBO or lose weight is actually slowing down and doing less. And so for me, sitting in my own shit and really dealing with that and being like, okay, I got to slow down right now. So with the 16K bill that I got, in addition to feeling totally, burnt out, feeling like I was go, the natural desire was to continue to go and push myself. But I realized that I was doing myself a disservice and I was doing you all a disservice because if I'm not showing up as my best self, you're only getting a fraction of me. And I would rather rest so that I can come fully embodied in the Nikki that you all know and I think like or hopefully love with that zestiness. And instead, if I had continued doing the podcast, I would have just felt even more burnt out. And the episodes, it really would have just gone downhill. And so I want you to look at your own life on this. Where are you showing up for work? And you're tired, you're not sleeping, you have a family, and you go. Is your work getting the best of you? Is your partner getting the best of you? Are your kids getting the best of you? And if the answer is no, then you got to slow down somewhere in your life. And it's so counterintuitive. And I know I keep repeating that, but it's the truth. Because the things that will set us free and make us feel good and help us see results and lose weight and all of these things, whatever your goal is for 2023, you got to do typically the opposite of what your mind is telling you. Because the mind is there just for protection and survival. Anyways, so long story long on that. I decided to take a break and I'm going to be totally honest with you all. I felt like a total failure. I did. And that's something that I've battled with in my life. Like here I am, Nikki Sharp, 2-time best-selling author, book deal with Random House, had a #1 app, iTunes top 30 podcast. Like, fine, you name the things. And yet I've felt like a failure so much of my life. I felt like a fraud. And that was so much of the internal self-work I had to do and everything that I teach in the Ultimate Transformation Program now. But once again, that little trigger was popping up for me being like, well, you've only been doing this 6 months and how do you expect it to grow and your brand and blah, 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 right? That's my mind, blah, blah, blah. It's talking at me. And I just had to sit there and be like, you know what? If I can rest and come back to the podcast when I feel excited and vibrant and ready, You're going to get the best version of me. I'm going to be giving the best version of myself, and I'm not going to feel like a failure. And here's the funny thing, you guys. Here's the funny thing. Now that I'm back 3 months later, I'm like, oh my God, of course. Thank God I took that break. So the thing you don't want to do is a thing you need. And I'm going to ask you right now, what is the thing that you need to do, but your mind is telling you, no, I can't? I'm just curious. I would love to know. So for me, it was this. And now when I look back, I'm like, of course, oh my God, I'm so grateful, obviously. Duh. But it's only in hindsight that we realize the choices, the hard choices we make were the right ones. So during this time, my break, I really focused on my clients, my one-on-ones, and my ultimate transformation group. And they graduated with flying colors. Just every single person couldn't say enough. They would get on the call with me and rave about how incredible it was. And for me, that's where I was getting my nourishment from. Instead of this podcast, which I normally do, I was getting that fulfillment by being of service to someone else, this group in this case. And yeah, during the time, we also, my husband and I went to Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny. And what's fun about that is, when was it? 2018. I went to Tony Robbins, and that's where I signed up for the Platinum Partnership. And it was incredible. It was amazing. Best year of my life. It's what I call the Masters of Life. That's his whole platinum year, because you just learn so many things. And it was really cool to go back 4 years later, do Date with Destiny with my hubby, who I literally had manifested from going to Tony, and learned all these tools that I teach you all now. So we had a great time, and we got so reconnected, which was so just beautiful and delicious and wonderful. I got to see my mom. She had moved to Florida from Colorado, so saw her another time. Christmas came and went. We had a pretty chilled time. And for me, this really led into 2023, which I'm just going to forewarn you, be careful what you wish for. And the reason I say that is because we put things out to the universe and we say, all right, this is it. I want a relationship, or I want to lose weight. I want more business. I want more clients. Well, be careful what you wish for, because it will happen. But here's the key. It's a concept that I talk about, or that I've coined, of the art of receiving. And the art of receiving means, once you put something out there, once you ask for help from someone else, or you go and have a conversation and you're vulnerable with someone else, or you go to, God, universe, divine, whatever you believe in, and you say, I need help, or I want this thing, I desire this thing. The art of receiving is that God, universe, divine spirit, another person will give you what you need, not what you want. And I want, actually, let's focus on that. The universe will give you what you need, not what you want. So you might have asked for it. Like for me, I went into 2023 saying like, okay, that's it. I'm ready. I want more private clients. I want to be busy. I want to make more money. And I want to expand my business. Well, Miss Nikki, universe really delivered. And then I got, once again, a little overwhelmed, because I was like, wait, I don't know if I can handle all of this. But that's total BS, because I'd asked for it, and the universe knew that I was ready for it because I'd taken a break. So now my schedule, January, as I record this, the end of January, I don't think I've ever been so busy in my entire life. And that's including when I've published a book. And that is a beast of work. Right now, it is just like, it's mind-boggling. But the funny thing is, it's what I asked for, and I got delivered in what I needed, not what I wanted. I didn't realize I wanted to be this busy, but apparently universe had other plans. And what's cool about this, and why I share this, is because now that I'm in it, and even though it's uncomfortable at times, and I'm busy and I'm tired and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can do it. Actually, it's pushed me to start the podcast again. It's pushed me to start interviewing some amazing people. You guys, the interviews that I have coming up for Sharper Health are going to blow your mind. And so being busy actually pushed me to go further, and not from a place of overwhelm and stress that I wasn't doing enough. Quite the opposite, that it was like, oh, okay, well, I think I'm ready. Like today is a great example of this where I sat down to record this podcast. I looked at my schedule and I was like, there's literally no way I'm going to record this today. I am back to back to back to back with calls, with clients, with this, with that. Like there's no way. And you know what happened? I found a way. I wrote the session notes earlier and then I got the equipment, set it up, got ready, and here we are. And I'm recording it and I'm like, oh, actually, this is kind of fun. And it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And so with all of that, when you're just tying in some of these concepts I've been talking about, when you're willing to sit in the shit, which is another way of stillness, of silence, of presence. And I like to just name things really funny, weird stuff so that it sticks in your mind more. Because if I tell you, during a hard moment, you need to be more present, people are like, right, but I have things to do. But if I say, if you're in a hard moment and it feels really bad, I want you to sit in the shit. And people are like, what? It immediately catches you a bit more. So I was able to do that, sit there, figure out what I wanted, what I needed, which was to rest. And from there, ask the universe, wanted to be busy. Well, universe delivered. Here we are. But I have so much more joy and passion and zestiness because I was able to slow down. And that's tying in that concept of if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or you can't catch up with work or you're not seeing the results you want, especially in January 2023, every year, whatever year it is, we set these resolutions. I'm going to go lose weight. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get healthy. And then we push ourselves and we beat ourselves up when we don't do it. And yet the very thing you need is to slow down, to sit with yourself, to figure out what you really want in that moment. And that's what I've been doing. And my gosh, I sometimes feel bad for cussing and saying, not that God's a cuss word, but I sometimes catch myself. That's where that little awkwardness came from. Cause I'm like, what? So I'm just going to continue with that one because I don't know if you can tell, sometimes I like rambling. Let's cut that last part. So with all of this, I took my own advice that I give to all of you, and I'm here now doing the things. And here is what's magical about it. I have manifested so much, it's mind blowing. The things that I have manifested right now, mind blowing to a point where I'm like, really? Huh? And all of these big things, and I can't wait to share them with you, just not yet. They came from me sitting in that shit and slowing down and being present and feeling like a failure for stopping the podcast. But in the process of that, actually, there were bigger plans being made, and I just needed to slow myself down in order to open myself up to them. So I got a lot of clarity on business, and I got a lot of clarity about this podcast and why I do it and why I want to continue doing it. And I decided to start doing more interviews with people because I realized I just have a lot of questions for people and I want them answered. And what better way than to have the experts on? So coming up, we have Sheila Kelly, who's known as the Body Whisperer. I have Dr. Amen. Oh my God. So excited for you to hear that one. I have Stefanos Sifandos. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Just incredible interviews. And this all happened because I was willing to slow down, take a chance, and then start reaching out to people, which I maybe wouldn't have done because this podcast was primarily me talking every episode. So with that, there was a lot. We talked about a few concepts, right? We talked about slowing down, sitting in presence or in the shit and not swimming in it to make yourself feel worse. We talked about the art of receiving, that the universe or God or whoever you believe in or whatever you do or don't is giving you what you need, not what you want. And so I'm going to tie all of these together with this is what I had to go through for the past 3 months. And as I've mentioned, I do not teach anything to you until I have tried it, tested it, see if it works, tested it out on clients, And once I do my own little testing of everything, like I will just never give you something without testing it. And this goes for if I ever share a product on Instagram. Once I've tested it, I know it works. And so all of these concepts and everything I'm sharing with you today, I know it works. And so I leave you with this. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're not seeing results, if you're whatever it might be, please listen to this episode and please slow down. Please check in with yourself, because that is what I had to do. Me, the expert here, the wellness expert, the transformation coach, I had to take my own fucking advice, you guys. I had to do it. And you know what? I'm so glad I did, because here I am with you once again, and I feel jazzed up and I'm excited, and I'm sure you can hear it in my voice. So the upcoming podcast episodes, I'm going to be making small changes here and there. I don't know exactly what they're going to be yet, but my entire goal for this podcast is to share my wealth of knowledge with you, to bring on other people that are going to answer your questions. And so if you ever have a certain guest you want me to have on, DM me on Instagram, just let me know. If you ever have a topic that you want me to talk about, I love hearing from you. And so I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, which was more focused on kind of catching up, less of the like tangible takeaway tips. But I hope you did learn something from it. And we will be back next week with an interview. I literally cannot wait. The interview series that I'm starting is going to blow your mind. And with that, if you enjoyed today's episode, or you have been enjoying A Sharper Life in general, please leave a 5-star review and share what you most enjoyed about today's episode. This helps me know what topics you like and what to do more of. And it also helps other people find the show. And this show can really help a lot of people. I know that because I get the comments, I read your reviews, and I love them. And so I just want to say I'm back. I'm in full force. I think you can hear it. You can see it. I love you all. And until next week, here's to a sharper life.